you're seeing some interesting things. You're starting to notice that you binge when you're stressed, and you start to notice that when you write down before, you might be able to divert a binge. But there's something, you're still putting the pieces together. It's like a big puzzle, and you're starting to put together some of the puzzle pieces over here, but there's this unknown over here. You're not quite sure why you binge. You're not quite sure what's up with your emotions. You're this inner kid stuff that I hint about. It's not really on the radar yet. You're not quite there yet. Um, what do you do if you've started your journaling practice? How do you deepen it in a practical way that helps you understand where you binge? Well, we're going to be looking at some 3 areas that are very kind of low-hanging fruit, that are accessible, that you can easily add into your journaling. And those 3 areas are: 1, looking out for ravenous hunger, looking out for times when you went more than 5 hours without a hearty, satisfying meal. So these 2 principles are hunger and satisfaction. And we'll talk about the third one, noticing where emotions are in your body, in just a little bit. But let's combine these 2 things to watch out for in your journal: ravenous hunger, going more than 5 hours without eating, or just not eating enough during the day, getting ravenously hungry. And then the second principle of satisfaction. When you have a satisfying meal, you stop thinking about food after you eat. That's a big thing to look out for. You stop thinking about food because you're satisfied. You're done. It feels good in your body. You're not bloated. You're not bloated, but you're not hungry. You're comfortable, and you're stable. You're grounded. So these are things that you could. Ravenous hunger feels a certain way in your body, and satisfaction, on the other hand, feels a certain way in your body. And so as you're going through your day, you can start to deepen the journaling practice, deepen your awareness of why binges are happening, by also just briefly writing down how hungry you are and how satisfying the past meal was. So let's try to give a practical example. Let's start really easy. 1, if you have a journal entry and you're looking at the past day and you binged, look out for number 1, did more than 5 hours go by without you eating? Because that's going to be the number 1 thing that's going to cause a binge. You didn't eat enough. You got too hungry, and when you get too hungry, eventually, and you throw in some stress, you throw in some lack of sleep, the survival part of your brain gets panicked. It says, I need to eat food because I'm starving. Food helps me calm down. Food helps me distract myself from work. So the survival part of your brain, the animal part of your brain, is going to take over, and it's going to make you binge. It's going to make you binge no matter what. Okay. So the number 1 thing we want to look out for is ravenous hunger. Okay. So if you're journaling consistently and you're trying to figure out why you binge, number 1 thing, look back, see if there were times when you let a lot of time go by without eating. See if you can notice. Okay, so see if you can notice a lot of time go by. But what happens if you're eating regularly, right? What happens if you're eating a few times a day or a couple times a day? Like you're not the 5 hour thing doesn't apply. You eat regularly enough so that 5 hours never goes by without you eating. What then? You're still binging, you're still a little out of control, you're not sure why you're binging, but you know it's not the 5 hour thing. This is where the food satisfaction comes into play. A lot of times people, they are not eating enough protein, they're not eating enough fiber, and so while they might not be ravenously hungry, throughout the day, their hunger levels are always kind of perking up. They're always kind of chirping. And there's some borderline hunger. There's a dissatisfying qualities. This is the food that you eat is not really satisfying you. It doesn't really feel good in your stomach. After you eat, it didn't really fill you up. The hunger went away, but it's like you're not really satisfied. You're not really content. As opposed to when you do eat a satisfying meal, you feel grounded. You feel kind of stable. You feel you stop thinking about food for a few hours because you are satisfied. It's like after you fill up your gas tank in the car, you don't really think about the tank of gas anymore until it starts running on empty. Well, same thing with food. When you fill up with food in a way that feels good, that you get enough nourishment, you're going to be satisfied. And if you don't do this, well, this is something to look out for. If you're binging and you're eating really skimpy meals, like let's just say you have a bagel for breakfast, you have some rice at lunch, you have a little yogurt thing at snack, and like technically, you know, you're eating every 3 to 4 hours. The 5 hour limit has not applied to you. Technically, you know, you're not ravenously hungry, but these borderline hunger levels, this dissatisfying, the lack of satisfaction, this is something to really look out for. Okay? Really look out for this. So as you're journaling your day, you can start writing down, hey, how hungry am I? And then you can also just reflect, how was that last meal? Was I satisfied from that last meal? And if you start making these little notes, give it a day or two, a binge might happen. That's okay. But we want to learn from our binges, right? So if we can binge and then see the past patterns, then we're going to be in a better position to understand why they happen. And one of the two patterns are probably going to be there. If you reflect on your past journal entries, you'll probably see like, oh, that day I skipped a meal. I was at work. More than 5 hours went by, or like I barely had a bite to eat. I was not satisfied. My belly was rumbling. You know, I did eat, but I wasn't satisfied. That type of thing. So after you kind of see that pattern for yourself in your journal entries, a quick solution, a very important quick solution, is to have more protein at every meal: breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. Nuts, yogurt. If you're a fan of meat, that's fine. Avocados, olive oil, eggs, whatever. Have just make a fist, have a fist of protein or whatever. Just have some protein every time you eat. It's a very, very important strategy so that you get some satisfaction. You get some lasting satisfaction from a meal. So these are things to look out for. And then finally, the last one, we'll just cover this real quick, the bodily sensations. This whole emotional world, listen, I could try to tell you the answer, that your survival brain and the inner child, but that's not the point. The reason we journal is that you discover the inner world. You discover your own path of mastery towards it. And so as you're trying to get into your emotions, you're trying to sort it all out, another powerful practice in deepening your awareness through journaling is just noticing where you feel stress in your body. Very, very important. So a lot of times stress and hunger and tired and fatigue, they kind of combine. They kind of combine and they create a cue, right? A cue, if we're familiar, it's where, the survival brain gets triggered. The cue triggers the survival brain to turn on. Once the survival brain is on, there's no stopping you, right? Our entire practice right here is learning how to calm down the survival brain, learning how to prevent the survival brain from even turning on in the first place, okay? And so when you are going throughout your day and you're writing your feelings, right, stressed, where do you feel stress? You don't feel stress in your pinky finger, right? You feel stress somewhere in your body. You feel stress in your jaw. Like oftentimes people, that they tighten their muscles, right? You want to look for clues. Where is the stress appearing in your body? How's your breathing? Is your breathing like this? Is it shallow? Or is it kind of deep and relaxed? Is there tension in your shoulder or neck? Look for tension, right? That's a big sign of stress or anxiety. There's tension somewhere. And you just want to write that down. Hey, I'm feeling stressed. I noticed this in my throat, wherever. And as you and what this will do is it will help you connect more physically to your emotions. A big part before we can get to this inner child stuff is for you to get out of your head and into your body. And when you are writing, like if you write, I am feeling stressed, I feel this stress in my stomach, it feels like X, Y, Z. By putting words to what you're feeling in your body, you're going to build the neural connections in your brain a lot faster. You're going to be able to do this emotional dance a lot better in a nutshell. So just to finish up this video, let's recap. As you're starting to deepen your practice of journaling, you can record your hunger levels so that you can watch out if there are times when more than 5 hours go by, or if you get to ravenous hunger, whatever comes first. 2, if you're looking back at your journal entries and you see a binge, think or look at your satisfaction scores. How did the food make you feel? Was it satisfying? Did it make you feel content after you eat, or were you kind of dissatisfied? Because after a while of dissatisfaction, you throw in some stress, you throw in some triggering event, and your baseline, because you're not satisfied, it's lower, right? So when you throw on all this stuff, it can trigger that survival reflex faster. And then finally, another step is to just write out where you feel the stress and tension in your body. Again, do this before you binge. Write out, hey, I have this craving. Where do you have the craving? Where do you feel the craving? Where do you feel the craving? Is it in your mouth? Is it in your stomach? It's not in your pinky finger, right? The craving is somewhere in your body. Where? Write it out. I have a craving for X, Y, and Z, and I feel this craving in my whatever, in my chest, in my mouth, in my belly. Write that out. When you write out your emotions after feeling it in your body, after locating it in your body, it's going to help you connect to those emotions, it's going to help you process it more, and you'll start to see deeper patterns. And as you keep seeing deeper patterns, you kind of, you you start filling in that puzzle, right? Filling in that puzzle. Why do I binge? And then you just kind of gravitate towards that inner child work. So, thank you for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions down below. And then finally, we have a beautiful growing community